put a tweet out there, and I really think this, and I think that right now, the way that 11-4 are playing, I think they're the best defensive end tandem right now in college football.
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to make a.
You think it's hyperbole?
I don't think it's hyperbole. I mean,
maybe Georgia, but
But their strength isn't even on the outside; it's on the inside with that monster. I mean, I might even take it a step further with how our whole defensive line is playing, because our interior is playing very well as well. Cooper's like really stepped up the last 3 or 4 weeks. Lovett's still continuing to play well, and Ray and Jackson are playing. Since Briggs went out,
really well.
They've stepped up as well too. So it's like the whole defensive line. Like, are there many defensive lines playing better than ours is right now? Maybe Clemson, maybe Georgia. Outside of that, who are you going to point to that's playing better than ours? And that's really just spurring how well our defense overall is playing too.
Yeah, Michigan has a really good front four.
Michigan too. Good job. Yes, yeah, that's true.
Yep.
But top 5 defensive line right now. I don't. It's not a very hard argument to make. Like, we're playing very well. If we had a better middle linebacker, a better stud linebacker, like, it'd be very hard for people to do anything on this defense. Deloach is playing at a very high level, which is very good to see, man. It's amazing the turnaround. That kid went from started the game 1 last year, then played a little bit game 2, and then barely played the rest of the year. And everybody thought he was gone. Everybody's like, okay, he's going to transfer. He's in the doghouse, whatever it was, going to transfer. And, we even talked to his dad, and his dad made some allusions to that, but he stuck around and showed a lot of heart and a lot of determination and growth to be able to now say, like, the way he's playing right now, he should absolutely be, if not first team, second team, all ACC linebacker. He is playing very well right now. And, we just need 2 other linebackers in there that can play at that level. And wow.
Well, I think that, Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson did whatever they wanted to today.
Oh, yeah.
And they were held so much that it's almost laughable. It's almost laughable. But
on some big BC plays too.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that they were, I don't know if dominance is strong enough for how they played today.
Yeah.
I thought it was a smart call on that 4th down where, they ran right where Jermaine was coming from. They took advantage of the aggressiveness of that defense and get after him, which is smart. It's what coaches should do. But I think that when you look at those 2 guys, I think Ray's coming on really well, especially in the run game, which bodes well. You go into next week with a need for one more win to get into a bowl, which is, crazy. We're actually talking about that after being 0-4.
0-4.
But I think that you have a front 4 that is right now, firmly within the top 5 in the country. You have defensive end, your tandem is probably top 2 or 3 nationally. Just playing extremely well, and it's balanced itself out with the way that Keir Thomas has been playing. So, I think that, I think the defense got in their own way a little bit today. I think that, some of the penalties were questionable and pass interference, but, I get the penalty like you talked about earlier with Jamie Robinson, but I wouldn't have called targeting on that. So overall, defense has done what it's had to do. And it all ties together. Football is a team sport, and they're fighting hard through when these other teams are figuring out the offense, and when the offense is having problems adjusting to the adjustments, the defense is still fighting and keeping this team in the game.
Yep. I want to point out one thing too with the defense, like, and you're mentioning the um, Robinson penalty. Like, we talked about it a few, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, how Robinson was coming along and how he was really the quarterback of that secondary, and how he's constantly making sure everybody's in right positions and the communication is there and stuff like that. Like, you really, if you really were paying attention to it, which I was, like, the amount of mental lapses, and miscommunications in the secondary as soon as he went out, once he was kicked out, like, was astronomical compared to whenever he was in there. Like,
Yeah,
all of a
15
sudden,
struggles a lot.
Yeah.
Even if, wrong run fits toward in the goal line situations. Just, I know Brownlee got beat, on that touchdown to Flowers, but 15's he's got to see that quicker and get over there and help.
Yeah, and it's not even that's correct.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's not even so much just that there's an obvious difference between Robinson and McClellan in terms of playing ability, but it's just the communication. Like, you just notice, like, there was just a huge difference in the communication and, like, in the secondary, and, like, things just weren't, we still were able to stop, that the quarterback and have him under 50% even after Robinson went out. But you saw those bigger plays that we haven't really seen a whole lot the last, several weeks start to play into the game some more. And they had some, and some of that's just Zay Flowers is a stud. He is. Kid's freaking baller, to really hold him to only 2 big plays, and I think he only had 3 catches. Like, that's great. So,
yeah. Jones and Brownlee should be spelling for corners next year. No Way Through should be starting again next year. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't care what you say. No one can tell me any different. I expect Travis Hunter to be a corner starter day one. And I would put Cooper there. But I would also, I think that's why they're going after another JUCO and DeCarlos Nicholson. They see that. But I think the emergence of Cooper, he's going to be hard to fight off. I think that's your top 2 corners next year.
Yeah,
I have a hard problem not seeing Hunter coming in and not being that force on day one.
Yeah. Cooper had another great game. There's, I think, maybe 1 catch on him that I can recall, and then they had the pass interference, which was awful. Was not a pass interference, but other than that, everything was on either the linebackers or Brownlee, which there wasn't a whole lot in the passing game. I mean, they only had like 130 yards, but I fully expect it to be Cooper, and I'm really high on Cooper right now. Cooper and Hunter, and then in the slot you have Knowles, and I think Brownlee will move into there and compete with Knowles for that starting nickel spot. And then you're going to have Robinson and Den at safety.
Let's put into the good juju of recruiting. What if they land Earl Little, who I think fits that role better than any of them?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a Sam McCall.
That changes the game too. If you're, getting Earl Little and having Cooper and Hunter, and then Little in the slot, and then you still have Knowles and Brownlee and Jones in backup roles. I mean,
depth.
Wow. And then you still got Green on the team. You still got Sidney Williams on the team backing up Dent and Robinson at safety. Maybe Travis J finally, the light bulb finally goes off, and he starts showing up to meetings on time, and things change.
Green's been banged up, and I think they are interested in moving him back to corner.
I think they did move him back to corner on the last 2 depth charts. He was there,
which I like that move. And Sidney Williams has been hurt, and I think that Sidney Williams is going to continue to play, starter in a major backup role. Because he's done really well since he came in last year. You know, you
Yeah.
got to like what he's giving you.
He's actually
But
absolutely going to have a role on this team. You know, I don't think he's as good as like his top end is as good as Denton Robinson. So if those two
he's
continue to
steady.
play, he's steady. If those two continue to play like, you know, Dent has the last 2 weeks and Robinson has all year, you know, those two will absolutely be the starters next year. But Williams will be able to come in and provide like probably some of the best depth in the nation at, you know, safety, you know.